India's power sector is rapidly evolving with an installed capacity of 417.67 gigawatts as of 2024, to meet growing energy demands, which are increasing by 6 to 7% annually. Now, Maharashtra plays a key role in balancing reliable power supply with the shift towards renewable energy. As renewable sources now account for 41.5% of India's capacity, the challenge lies in integrating clean energy while still relying on coal for substantial output. In this dynamic context, we are privileged to have with us Dr. P. Anbalagan, IAS, Chairman and MP of Maharashtra State Power Generation Company Limited, Mahagenco. Dr. Anbalagan, with over 23 years of distinguished service in the Indian administrative services, has brought his rich experience from various sectors and various government department roles. And since taking charge in September 2022, he has been instrumental in steering the company through complexities of power generation, regulation, and sustainability. Now, his leadership is not only ensuring Maharashtra's energy future, but also contributing to India's broader energy transition goals. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Anbalagan. I'd like to start off by talking about your early experiences. What prompted you to take up a career in public service, and how has that shaped the leader that you are today?
Namaskar. Greetings from my company, Mahagenco, Maharashtra State Power Generation Company Limited. I come from Tamil Nadu, a small town, Satyamangalam, and studied in Chennai in veterinary medicine. The veterinary and agriculture, you have a good environment.
Sure.
Typically for state services and UPSC. So that was one reason which initially nudged me that I should also look into that. Secondly, of course, my parents, my mother and father, both of them were so much willing that I should be pursuing a career in administrative service than into like veterinary medicine. So with a lot of friends, then I thought that I should take up. That was the initial nudge I got from that.
And how do you think that has made you the leader that you are today?
So almost I have 27 years of service. I was in like private company. I was also doctor for some time. Then joined in state service in Tamil Nadu and served 2 years as SDM. Then joined in Maharashtra, almost completed 23 years, now it's 24th year. So spanning almost 27 years of career, I was SDM, I was collector, I was CEO. Typically for a role which I am into now, like managing a company, like handling a company of almost 40,000 crore revenue. So typically my stint in MIDC, I was a joint CEO of Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation for almost 3 years and 5 months, and I was also CEO MIDC for 4 years, like close to like 7.5 years a stint with MIDC, and in between I was there in Pollution Control Board as MS and CEO for 4 years. This 11 years really shaped me into that water, because I used to handle almost 11 years business. So I used to facilitate the business, used to get the land for the business, then used to regulate the business. Now I am running the business.
Yeah.
That's it.
So interesting, and such an extensive career that you've had spanning across sectors. I'm going to come to now understanding Maharashtra's contribution, because I have the numbers here in front of me. India's total installed power capacity stands at approximately 417.67 gigawatts as of 2024, with Maharashtra understandably contributing a significant portion. So how do you view Maharashtra's role in leading the nation's energy supply, especially in the context of growing demands and, industrial expansion?
Maharashtra is like, I would say, a very strategic state. If you look into Maharashtra, it's like a 10% of everything. Be it a land mass, be it a population, but economic terms, it's close to around 15%. Industrial productivity, for example, if you take up exports, almost close to 20%. That way, Maharashtra is I would say like it's a single largest economy of the country, which is like marching towards $1 trillion economy. So quite a huge economy, I mean the biggest sub-national economy in the country. So that way it has a lot of inherent potential, inherent capabilities. And you look at strategic location of Mumbai, and you have like Mumbai, Pune, Nasik, Aurangabad, and they are all growth centers. And it is, I would say the tier 2 cities like even like Solapur, Kolhapur, Sangli, Parbani, all these smaller towns are also coming up with lot of industry, but typically spreading across more than 10 to 12 sectors. If you look at top 10 to 15 sectors, either Maharashtra is number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in all the 12 sectors. Even be it gems and jewelry, electronics, automobile, anything.
Right.
So that way, secondly, now data center, which is like a power intensive thing. You will say almost in country, if everything goes good, close to around 70% of the data centers will be only in Maharashtra, but typically in Mumbai, something will be in interland of maybe Pune and Nagpur. So that way power generation is going to be main power requirement is going to be a major issue. Maharashtra, as rightly said, we have a 47, you said 471, is 47 gigawatt is our install, exactly 10% of that. And the state has a massive resource adequacy plan, well thought of, phase 1 till 2030 and phase 2 till 2035. So that way like mix of like a thermal and most of them are renewable. We will be adding close to around another 20-25 gigawatt in another like 7-8 years.
Right.
So that way like the state is fully geared up.
Totally, as always, as always.
Okay.
More data actually now showing that Maharashtra, the peak power, the demand for it actually hit around 25,000 megawatts is what we saw in 2023. So with rising industrial and urban power demands, now how are you addressing that need for increased capacity, but while at the same time also ensuring that there's reliable and uninterrupted supply?
Absolutely. See, peak demand, if you look at the trend, till 2030, it's going to be roughly CAGR of 6.5%.
Okay.
After that, it's roughly 5.5% from like 2003 to 2035. So typically, we expect Maharashtra demand to be roughly around, peak demand will be 45 gigawatt in 2030 and literally 55 in 2035. Then again, if you look at MSEDCL, which I am close to around 35 to 40% supply, roughly around 41 to 51. So maybe by 2030, only MSEDCL demand will be close to around 41 gigawatt, and in another 2035 it will be around 51 gigawatt. This is one thing. Secondly, basically the peak demand now, as of now, conventionally it is being addressed through hydro projects.
Okay.
And sometimes gas, because you know a scarcity of the gas, we don't get gas. So typically now RE, the renewable power, typically solar and wind hybrids, these are going to play a major role basically. So typically like after 11 o'clock till we will be handling from 11 to like evening 4-5 will have a solar. So morning we should be mixing with the thermal and hydro so that like you will achieve the peak, because hydro is like within 60 seconds you achieve the peak demand. That way the energy mix is well thought of with a typically like I would say like even when we say the total installed capacity, even now we have around 20 gigawatt of renewable in Maharashtra, which will be doubled actually, which will be doubled in another like 5 to 6 years. So that way there will be a renewable component, solar, wind, and also we have a modest pump storage, which is a Guardian, which is a 250 megawatt. We are also looking at, maybe in future, we are looking at a pump storage as a major, like typically a mechanism to handle the peaks, both in the like morning peak and the evening peak. So pump storages, even Mahagenco is looking at developing close to around 3,000 megawatt in another close to 10 years with companies like SGVN and other like central government PSUs. So typically lot of private investors also going to play, because now Mahagenco is alone not going to put up the show.
Of course.
So typically if you look at almost, if you say if 1 lakh crore is going to be spent, roughly I will be sending around 30 to 40,000, but 60,000 has to come from the private sector place. Lot of public-private partnership is going to happen. Lot of private investments are going to happen. Hopefully, whatever resource adequacy plan is there, that finances things were worked out, and hopefully we should be able to make it.
I'm absolutely sure of that, sir. You kept talking about renewable energy, so I'm going to scratch a little more and ask you to elaborate on that, because Maharashtra has been the pioneer when it comes to implementing energy saving measures, and we've even seen the state actually achieving a power surplus. So that's reducing its dependence. How do you plan on keeping that up and on sustaining it?
Typically, say renewable now, initially renewable what? Like renewable we aim at like you generate somewhere and you bring it. So now Maharashtra has thought of an innovative thing of like decentralized generation.
Okay.
Decentralized generation, typically the scheme CM, Chief Minister's solarization of agricultural feeder. We say Mukhyamantri Krishi Shaur Vagi Yojana.
Okay.
So typically this aims to like decentralize in a way of like generating the solar power and injecting into the 11 or 22 or 33 kV substations, so that like that whatever technical and commercial losses are that going to be minimized, and the daytime power will be also available for the farmers. And this is going to be massive, almost close to around 7,500 megawatt in the first phase is going to be done. So it's a massive addition. Another 18 months. Only this decentralized Mahagenco alone is going to do 1100 megawatt at 83 locations.
Wow.
Otherwise, we'll have 250 megawatt a single location. So see, automatically your transmission requirement also going to be less. So see, when you're talking of renewable power, because there's patches, the identified patches where you have to evacuate the power, like Northern Maharashtra, Vidarbha, and some parts of Marathwada.
Of course.
So their transmission, basically traditionally our transmission network is from like east to west. Because Chandrapur, like Akola, Nagpur, those places where we have like Bhusawal, where we generate and we bring it to like load centers like Nasik, Aurangabad, Pune, Solapur, like of course Mumbai.
Right.
So now you have to north-south also you have to have a transmission corridors. And with this decentralized typically a solar plant, smaller plants, 10 to 15 megawatt plants, so our load on transmission network is also will be less, because the load will be locally controlled. And secondly, with I am being like a major 10,000 megawatt thermal guy, so I should be worried about this renewable incursion as a company. Though the mandate is like we also go like 50% of the generation should be from renewable.
Right.
So we are looking at like techniques like innovations like flexible operations. So if I have like 660 megawatt of plant, I should be operating comfortably at 40% of its capacity.
Okay.
So that is where basically you should be able to manage the grid in a smarter way. If my plant is not able to like operate at 40% or 50% of the capacity, then this renewable power will not come.
Exactly.
Otherwise, then grid may collapse. So you need to do like smart grid system. So you have to have a lot of like typically like AI, IoT, lot of things have to be improved, and smart metering. So this decentralized load should be parallelly should take care of typically I would say the local grid issues.
So, but having said that, and just for you to elaborate some more, I think there is a delicate balance that needs to be struck over here, considering that coal still accounts for about 50% of Maharashtra's energy production. So, how is it that you maintain that balance in that particular framework? Because at the same time, there is of course renewable energy. There is still talk of that, but then if you're still seeing 50%. There is a balance that needs to be struck.
Typically, when we have a renewable, you need to have a storage systems.
Okay.
Basically, battery energy storage system, they call BESS, or live storage system, which we call pump storages. Basically,
Right.
pump storage, PSPs they call. So, Europe and other places, normally they have pump storages. And where the system is mature, now like lot of like private investments are going to come. So, till I would say the ecosystem matures for the like PSPs, it will take another 10 years, and even for the battery storage to come, then ultimately we need to do that flexible operation of the thermal plants, and typically with Maharashtra looking into this decentralized solar plants, probably this transmission network pressure also will be considerably reduced, unlike in other states.
Okay.
Because for example, I said like for 1100 things roughly around, suppose if I am doing it like 7,000 megawatt, it will be at 700 locations. So I'm not going to like transport all the way, because they are all being consumed. They will be locally generated within 3 to 5 kilometers, and they will be consumed. So flexible operation is one which like really all the thermal plants should invest. Germany is doing it. You must have seen like London also has done away with the last thermal unit with the coal.
Yeah.
So though coal is going to be with us for some time, but till the time matures, then you need to be operating at a much like efficient way.
So, sir, thank you so much for, sharing all of this insight, and very hopeful and very inspirational about what the plan is for the future. But in conclusion, where do you see Maharashtra in terms of its power generation capacity? And for Mahagenco in particular, what does the future hold? What are the opportunities, the challenges?
If you look at like, I would say typically our peak demand is going to be roughly between like 45, I say like 45 gigawatt, and maybe another 10 gigawatt in another 5 years. So typically now, as per the, I would say that the resource adequacy plan which government of Maharashtra and also all companies like generation, transmission, they made elaborate plans are there. Typically, we will be adding close to around 6,500 thermal plants in another like 10 years. And only PSP another 10 years, only Mahagenco will be adding another 3,000 megawatt.
Nice.
But lot of massive like big companies into that. They are into like more than 40,000 megawatt. So that's a plan for the state. In fact, Maharashtra will become the hub of like this PSPs.
Okay. Wow.
PSP. For Mahagenco alone, so roughly we are looking at, now we are like 13.5 gigawatt. Maybe this month we will become a 14 gigawatt company because Bhusawal thermal plant is going to be commissioned, 660 megawatt. So we will be adding another like 3,500 megawatt of thermal and 12,000 megawatt of renewable in like till 2035. Even now, I have almost like more than 2,500 megawatt of renewable like solar projects are being like in a various stages. So that way, like Mahagenco has a massive plan. Even we would be spending around roughly 65,000 crore only on this component, only on the capacity addition component, and we are geared for that.
Excellent. And any challenges that will define the state's energy future?
Basically now this RDSS, typically this smart metering, and the transmission company also has an elaborate plan for the north-south corridor and also ring fencing of like whatever like transmission infrastructure. I think by and large we are like capable. In fact, I would say the state will become like a PSP capital of the country, and it will be exporting power to other states.
Absolutely no doubt about that, sir. Definitely with you at, leading at the helm. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor and privilege. And please let me know if you'd like to add anything, if you'd like to mention anything.
The only thing is everyone should like look at saving energy. That's it. Energy efficient mechanism, and you use minimal energy. That's what like I want to say. All the like who's ever like watching this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaskar. Thank you.
In this conversation with Dr. Anbalagan, it becomes clear that the future of Maharashtra's power sector is in capable hands. Under his leadership, Mahagenco is navigating the dual pressures of increasing energy demands and the critical shift towards renewable energy sources. With Maharashtra's growing industrial landscape and rising urban consumption, the challenges ahead are substantial. Yet his approach, blending innovation with regulatory foresight, promises to meet these demands head-on. As India moves towards its goals of net zero emissions by 2070, the work being done by Maharashtra's State Power Generation Company Limited under Dr. Anbalagan's leadership is critical, not just for Maharashtra, but for the nation as a whole. His experience in industrial development and environmental management positions him uniquely to lead this transformation, ensuring that Maharashtra continues to power both its industries and households with a focus on efficiency, sustainability, and resilience. Thank you, Dr. Anbalagan. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you.